President Biden sat down with Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador at the White House today.
The two leaders are looking to improve their country's relationship and tackle some regional issues, in particular immigration and the economy.
Our nations share close ties and family and friendship, and we're united through our values and our history. For me and my administration, the U.S.-Mexico relationship is vital to achieve our goals of everything from the fight against COVID-19 to continuing to grow our economies to strengthening our partnerships and addressing migration as a shared hemispheric challenge.
CBS News correspondent Christina Ruffini joins us now from the White House. Hi, Christina. So we know that President Obrador spoke to the press for almost an hour. What did he speak about, and how did President Biden react to his speech?
I mean, he covered a range of topics. You always know it's going to be a long Oval Office spray when the visiting leader gets out a bunch of sheets of paper and just starts reading down them. At one point, President Biden tried to kind of politely interrupt and say, oh, you know, look at that young lady with the camera. I don't know how she's been holding it up there that long. And President López Obrador just kind of like, you know, acknowledged it and then just went right on with the more bullet points he wanted to get through. I made a list for you guys. Here's a brief summary of some of the things he talked about. He talked about Mexican workers in the U.S. He talked about Mexican oil going to the U.S. He talked about the USMCA, which is what replaced NAFTA, kind of a trade agreement. He talks about FDR. He talks about a whole range of issues, a whole host of issues. And keep in mind, it was consecutive translation, not concurrent translation. So the president would speak, and then everyone would have to wait for the woman who was his translator to translate it into English. And then that went on and on and on and on. We just kept waiting and waiting for this footage to come out, and they still hadn't come out. But look, the president sat there and rather politely listened to his counterpart from Mexico get through this list that was obviously very important to him, because both Mexico and the U.S. need each other, right? We're on each other's borders. Our economies are intertwined. We've got immigration. The U.S. is really hoping to get more Mexican cooperation, stopping drugs coming across the border, especially fentanyl, with this uptick of overdoses we've seen in the U.S. So there's a long list of things they had to get through. Now, we weren't expecting to have them all ticked off while the press was in the room. But it seems like hopefully once they cleared the air, they were able to possibly get through their agenda, although we haven't seen the official readout from the meeting quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the definition, or the very textbook sort of definition of an unscripted moment.
Yeah, right.
You know, Christina, I'm wondering, given all of that, the idea of any kind of coming together after this sort of diplomatic tension that we had seen earlier, I mean, was this sort of expected on the part of White House officials that, you know, they knew that the Mexican president had some things to get off his chest?
I mean, perhaps, right? We knew that Mexico boycotted the Summit of the Americas, and there was a bit of tension. But like I said, these are two leaders who know they have to work together and whose people generally want them to work together and find solutions for these problems. So it seems like, you know, on a staff level, they've been working together, and now the two leaders are trying to see what they can do and meet face to face and smooth over this diplomatic rift, if you will. And hopefully now that everyone has spoken their piece, they can get down to business.
Right.
That's
in
right.
front of the cameras. You know, I was trying to think, the only other foreign leader I remember really holding the floor like that was Benjamin Netanyahu, the former Israeli prime minister. Remember when he came in for an Oval Office meeting with Obama and just kind of kept talking? So there is precedent for this. It has happened before, but I don't think we were quite expecting it here today.
Absolutely. And Christina, the president is traveling to the Middle East later today, which does include a controversial stop in Saudi Arabia. Why does the White House feel so committed to moving forward with this visit, given the backlash?
Well, I mean, speaking of Israel, he'll be stopping there first. He's going to reaffirm America's ironclad commitment to its ally. And then he is going to Saudi Arabia, where he's going to meet with Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, who U.S. intelligence says, you know, was behind this killing of U.S. journalist Jamal Khashoggi in this consulate in 2018. He was killed and dismembered. And the U.S. intelligence report said that had to have come from the crown prince. During the campaign, candidate Biden said we should treat Saudi as a pariah. As a result, said he didn't want anything to do with them. Now there's been a change of plans. In an op-ed for the Washington Post, President Biden said, in order to push back against Russia and compete with China, the U.S. needs strategic allies, and Saudi Arabia is one of them. Now, I asked National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan if this trip is a tacit acknowledgement of the fact that we've seen in so many successive administrations, you know, the better angels of diplomacy get kind of tamped down by realpolitik. And I said, you know, does this mean that strategic interests like oil, like energy, like security override human rights? And Sullivan said, no, human rights is an American interest, and the U.S. can do both things at once.
All right, Christina Ruffini on the North Lawn of the White House for us. Christina, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Christina.
guys.